Chairman Miller, other members of the Board of Trustees, Mayor Leahy, Senator Udechak, past presidents of Wilkes, delegates from other higher education institutions, delegates from each and every Wilkes class since 1947, including our current state representative, Eddie Day Kuczynski, representing the class of 1967, faculty, staff, students, friends. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Diamond City of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and to this very special gathering of its own Wilkes University. I am pleased and humbled to have all of you here this afternoon, especially those of you who traveled some distance to be here today. It means a great deal to Wilkes University and to me personally. Thank you very much. Let me also thank in a special way my greeters, colleagues, and friends all for their kind words of support. Before I go any further, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce my family who is here today. First, please join me in welcoming my beautiful wife of 17 years, Amy. As Scott mentioned, Amy agreed to pick up and move to Northeast Pennsylvania 8 years ago so that I could pursue a dream to work in higher education. I probably shouldn't state this so publicly, but Amy, I owe you one. Next, I'm pleased to have here today the part of my life of which I am most proud, my children, my girls, Grace and Molly, and my boys, Jack and Brian. Some folks have heard this, but I'd like to share it with all of you too, that earlier this summer, Molly, my 11-year-old, she took me aside and she said, "Dad, I'd like to be known as the president's daughter." I said, "Well, what about Grace?" She can be known as the president's daughter's sister. So I'm thrilled to have both the president's daughter and her sister here today. And of course, this is quite a sacrifice for my boys who are missing their soccer games today and would rather be at home in Bear Creek Village fishing, but I'm delighted to have you boys here as well. One of my heroes is here today, my dad, John Leahy, Sr. My only sister, Bridget, the only girl of 6 of us, is here today with her husband, one of my best friends, Chuck Fisher. Bridget. And I'm so pleased to have many members of Amy's family here, frankly from all over the country they came in. In particular, I'm delighted to have her grandparents, who over the years have become my grandparents, John and Florence Morello, Pop and Grandma. My family should know that all I really want to do is make the generation ahead of me and the generation behind me proud. I'd also like to remember the important people in my life who have already, as John McGee wrote so beautifully in 1941, quote, "slipped the surly bonds of earth, put out their hands, and touched the face of God." My mom, Nancy Buseman Leahy, my brother, Tom Leahy, my uncle, Dick Conway, and my mother-in-law, Mary Morello. I miss them all very much today. To Father Kevin Quinn and my friends at Scranton, many of whom are here today, let me just say this. Thank you. When Amy and I moved to Scranton 8 years ago, we did not know a single soul in this community. You welcomed us, befriended us, and supported us. I learned two things at Scranton which will always inform my thinking here at Wilkes. The first is the notion of cura personalis, care for the whole person in their uniqueness. The second, magis, the restless pursuit of excellence, motivated by gratitude. While I promise not to breach the Jesuit trademark on these terms, these two ideas will continue to shape my thinking about higher education. I often, in jest of course, refer to the University of Scranton as that educational institution up I-81 I used to work at. I'm sorry, I forget the name of it. The truth is, I will never forget you. Thank you, my friends at Scranton. Now, having said all those sentimental things, be forewarned, Scranton. Wilkes is coming after you. I'd also like to pause and thank another person with Scranton ties, Scott Lars of the Society of Jesus. Thank you, Scott, for being here today, and thank you for your customary eloquence on this occasion. As you now know, Scott was my boss at Scranton, serving as my mentor in higher education. One of the many things I learned from Scott is to always put students first. In fact, I have never met a college president in my life who's more committed to the students than Father Lars. But how do you adequately thank someone who helped make a dream of becoming a university president come true? Shakespeare said, quote, "I can no other answer make, but thanks, and thanks, and ever thanks." Somehow, though, even Shakespeare seems inadequate in this situation. Fortunately, there's a time-honored tradition in higher education that allows the ultimate show of appreciation and recognition of achievement. It's called the Honorary Degree. I'd like to ask Father Lars and our interim provost, Terry Wignott, to please come forward. I would like to now read the Honorary Degree citation for Scott Lars, S.J. Native of Camden, New Jersey, cum laude graduate of Georgetown University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English, graduate of Fordham University with a Master's degree in Philosophy, graduate of the Weston School of Theology with Master's degrees in Divinity and Theology, graduate of the City University of New York with a PhD in English, member of the English faculty at Georgetown from 1996 through 2003, where he also served as university chaplain. Recipient of the Edward B. Bunn S.J. Award for Faculty Excellence. President of the University of Scranton from 2003 through 2011, where you led to successful completion the $125 million Pride, Passion, Promise campaign. President of Marquette University since 2011, and winner of the John Carroll Award, Georgetown University Alumni Association's highest honor. Because as a teacher you serve your students with passion and devotion that stirs their intellectual curiosity and inspires their appreciation for the humanities. Because as the university president, you have influenced thousands of graduates at the University of Scranton and Marquette University to lead lives of faith, hope, and service. Because you are a leader of great personality and spirit, and because in a life guided by a higher calling, you lead by example, and with grace. By the power now vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Wilkes University, I hereby confer upon you, Scott R. Lars of the Society of Jesus, the Doctorate of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges appertaining thereto. Congratulations, Father Lars. A few years ago, Father Lars was awarded an honorary degree at our neighboring institution, King's College. Scott, you now have what you've always really wanted, a Wilkes degree. I think it's safe to say that everyone wants a Wilkes degree. Even the president of King's College, Father Jack Ryan, has a Wilkes degree. So, our mayor, himself a King's graduate, sends his daughter to Wilkes. Looking back with pride and looking forward with confidence, that is our theme for this weekend. Let's look back for a moment at this remarkable institution. One could argue that this university probably should not even exist today. Let me explain. Wilkes University was founded in 1933 as Bucknell University Junior College, a result of a statewide study that identified areas of need for education in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Imagine starting an enterprise of any kind during the midst of the Great Depression. The school struggled to gain acceptance during the 1930s. Then, in the 1940s, the U.S. went to war, and with it, most of the potential students. If not for the ingenuity of our first president, Eugene Farley, Wilkes may have died right then and there. He went to Washington, D.C. looking for a way to support the war effort. He convinced the Army Air Force to send some of its cadets to Bucknell University Junior College for training before being sent off to serve in World War II. These flyboys, as they were affectionately known, sustained the college during that period. In the process of saving our world from tyranny, these flyboys saved this college. I'm proud today to have one of those flyboys with us today, representing the greatest generation. Mr. John Horner, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you, Mr. Horner, for your service to this country. Following World War II, Bucknell University Junior College flourished for a time. Many colleges did, a result of the GI Bill, which sent thousands of returning veterans to college. In 1947, having just become a four-year institution, Bucknell University Junior College became Wilkes College. During the 1950s, Wilkes College continued to educate men and women of this valley and beyond, many of whom were sons and daughters of immigrant coal miners. You see, this valley was flooded with immigrants from across the Atlantic Ocean. Germany, Italy, Ireland, Wales, Poland. First-generation Americans willing to work day after day with their faces to the coal and what could only be described as black hell. These immigrants endured unimaginable hardship working in the anthracite coal mines. Why? To provide a better life for their children. Wilkes College was part of that better life. Wilkes educated these children, providing a way out of the mines for countless families. My grandfather, Leahy, who never had the privilege of pursuing a college degree himself, evidently used to say, as told by my dad, quote, "Once a generation receives a college degree, then that chain is broken forever." In my family, both my father and my mother broke those chains in their respective families. And so it was with many Wilkes graduates. During the 1960s, with the collapse of the anthracite coal mining industry, Wilkes-Barre needed to reinvent itself. Wilkes College helped lead these economic development efforts by offering electrical engineering, which prompted RCA, now Fairchild Semiconductor, to relocate hundreds of jobs to the area. It was one more way that Wilkes supported his hometown. Then, in 1972, a flood of a different sort hit the Wyoming Valley. The Aggies flood, which occurred 40 years ago this June. For any of you who lived through the Aggies flood, the memories, even this many years later, are still vivid and I imagine unforgettable. For those of you who weren't here in 1972, imagine 9 feet of water in downtown Wilkes-Barre. 9 feet. If not for the perseverance of Wilkes' second president, Francis Michaelini, and the great civic leader, Wilkes trustee, the late Judge Max Rosen, Wilkes would not have survived, but it did. In the late 1970s and 80s, under the leadership of Robert Capon, this liberal arts college expanded to meet the educational needs of a growing number of students, both in the professional fields and in graduate fields. In 1990, with the support of then President Christopher Bryceff, Wilkes College became Wilkes University. In 1996, the university opened a school of pharmacy, prompting such companies as CVS Caremark to locate in the region. Since that time, Wilkes has continued to survive in the face of mounting pressure to keep higher education affordable and in the face of mounting competition from other first-class institutions like King's College, Misericordia University, Luzerne County Community College, and other institutions from around the region and across the country. In more recent years, under the leadership of Tim Gilmore, Wilkes, while continuing to develop and advance and serving as a catalyst for the city's renaissance, faced still more challenges. 9/11, the Great Recession, and just last fall, the threat of another 100-year flood, just 39 years after the last one. As has been mentioned, this institution over all those nearly 80 years has had just 5 presidents. I am now the 6th. Dr. Eugene Farley, our first president and our guiding force for so many years, passed away in 1973. Every other president since Eugene Farley is here with us today. Would Dr. Francis Michaelini, Dr. Robert Capon, Dr. Chris Bryceff, and Dr. Tim Gilmore please stand and be recognized. Thank you all for helping to make Wilkes what it is today. Throughout its eventful history, Wilkes has faced serious challenges, depressions and recessions, natural disasters, economic ebbs and flows, increased competition, changing student demographics. There were plenty of times when this institution could have, maybe you could argue should have, folded. But at each turn, the members of this community, faculty, staff, students, alumni, members of the Wilkes-Barre community, responded. They decided that this institution is too important to this city and to this region. They decided that this institution is too important to the thousands of students whose lives have been changed because of it. They decided that Wilkes University mattered. Talk about looking back with pride. Looking back with pride and looking forward with confidence. That is the theme for this weekend. We need to respect this history, even honor it. But we have our own big questions that challenge American higher education in the years ahead. How do we keep a first-class education affordable? How is our student profile changing now? What opportunities and challenges does technology offer? How do we keep a first-class education affordable? Well, gone are the days when colleges and universities can indiscriminately raise tuition. Just look at Measuring Up 2008, which is the national report card on higher education. This report tracked rising prices from 1982 to 2006. 1982 to 2006. During that time, the Consumer Price Index rose 106%. Median family income over that period rose 147%. Medical costs during that period rose 251%. College tuition and fees during that period rose 439%. Isn't it clear that colleges and universities must reduce their reliance on tuition increases? At the same time, the economic challenges of the Great Recession have pushed financial aid pressures up, squeezing revenues for all colleges and universities nationwide, especially tuition-dependent ones like Wilkes University. We'll have to rethink how we'll fund our institutions in the future. How is our student profile changing? Well, the number of traditional college-age students in the Northeast, our prime recruiting market, is declining. By some estimates, as much as 11% over the next decade, as the growth in the American population pushes south and west. This will set off a mad scramble for students from other high-quality institutions around the Northeast, which is easily the most competitive higher education market in the country. At the same time, the number of non-traditional individuals seeking higher education will be increasing in this very same market. These adult students require specific programs at specific times, at specific places, and at specific prices. We'll have to rethink how we serve this market. And what opportunities and challenges will technology offer? Of course, those of us in higher education are still sorting out the effects of advances in technology. Technology has already changed the way in which we deliver education. Some of our students who travel some distance to come here to Wilkes-Barre, who live in our residence halls on campus, who eat in our dining halls on campus. Some of those students would rather take classes online from their dorm room than in class. What does this shift in student preference mean to the future of colleges and universities in general, and this institution in particular? When Harvard University, by all accounts, right, the leading university in the world, begins to offer courses online to anyone in the world at no charge, what does that mean for the rest of us? We'll have to rethink how we'll continue to compete in the future. Eugene Farley said in his inaugural address in 1947, quote, "If education has ever been isolated from reality or from the ordinary affairs of life, it is now challenged to re-examine its structure and, if necessary, to rebuild it." Those words are as true now as they were then. So how does an institution like Wilkes University sustain itself, even thrive, in the face of our own contemporary challenges? For an answer to this question, I turn to the leading strategist of our time, Michael Porter. Porter writes, quote, "The key to competitive success for businesses and nonprofits alike lies in an organization's ability to create unique value." He goes on, aim to be unique, not best. Here's how Wilkes University is unique. 1, Wilkes has a unique dedication to student success. In fact, nowhere are faculty and staff members more committed to student success than Wilkes. Now, I recognize that is a bold statement at a gathering where some 50-some colleges are represented. But the idea of mentoring is not just a catchphrase here at Wilkes. It is a commitment embedded into our very DNA as a community. Let me give you one example of this commitment. Even today, in 2012, by some estimates, 50% of our student body, 1 out of 2, every other student is a first-generation college student. Our outcomes with this student body profile are remarkable. Imagine the number of families, including maybe many of yours here today, whose lives have been forever changed because of Wilkes University. Again, my grandfather Leahy used to say, quote, if you give someone an education, you give them a chance. Well, Wilkes has been giving first-generation college students a chance for nearly 80 years. And we are quite proud of this legacy, even though at times this work is not fully appreciated by outsiders. And we will continue this laser-like focus on student success in the future. At Wilkes University, we will continue to push every decision that we make through the following filter. How does this decision, whatever it may be, impact the student experience here at Wilkes? 2, Wilkes has a unique program mix. We have 5 colleges: Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, Science and Engineering, Nursing and Pharmacy, Business, and Education, covering a broad array of student interests. These 5 colleges offer a program mix that is consistent with much larger institutions. Yet our relatively small size enables us to provide a very personalized education. The kind of personalized education I don't believe larger institutions can begin to offer. We take pride in being a small university. And within this small university, Wilkes will continue to promote, even revere, the liberal arts and humanities. Yes, Wilkes is a place where engineers read Shakespeare. Why? Because we want our graduates not only to be strong technical engineers, but we want them to be leaders in their field. Evidently, I'm late to this notion. At the Wilkes University commencement ceremony in 1990, Harry Ostrich, the then president of Bloomsburg University, told a generation of our students who were all too preoccupied with careers, quote, if you want to learn about not missing the right opportunities, read Hamlet. If you want to learn about the dangers of overweening ambition, read Macbeth. If you want to know the pitfalls of playing around on the job, read Antony and Cleopatra. And if you want to learn the importance of fulfilling responsibilities entrusted to leadership, read King Lear. You'll see it all right there, he said. Our engineering department has heard me preach a variation of this theme. After a recent visit to their department, they presented me with a gift: the complete works of Shakespeare. I'm beginning to wonder if they want me to learn the responsibilities entrusted to leadership. Add to this program mix an unparalleled opportunity for co-curricular development. Just last week, I attended Club Day here on campus, where 88 different organizations were recruiting members. 88 different organizations. Wilkes is the place where a pharmacy student could play football. A nursing student can play the lead in a theatrical production. A business student can actually run a small business. Wilkes is a university that still looks, feels, and acts like a liberal arts college. 3, Wilkes has a unique location. We have a residential urban campus with a river running through it. To the west is a completely redeveloped riverfront. To the east is a redeveloping downtown. In between sits our campus, with a collection of old historic mansions and new state-of-the-art academic buildings, in particular, our new science facility. These old mansions tell the proud history of Wilkes-Barre. And Wilkes University is proud to be part of that history. Wilkes University has been an economic engine in the city of Wilkes-Barre for nearly 80 years. By some estimates, contributing today nearly $200 million in economic impact every year. We will continue to support our host city of Wilkes-Barre because it is the right thing to do. And Mr. Mayor, if you ever wonder if our commitment to our host city will wane, just remember, it's in everyone's best interest to make coming to Wilkes-Barre to go to school as attractive as possible. Our futures are inextricably linked. Consider us partners for the long haul. And Wilkes-Barre is a short drive to some of the great cities of this nation: New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., even Boston. And of course, the greatest city on the eastern seaboard, Baltimore, Maryland. Hey, it's the Baltimore contiguous. Imagine the recruiting, internship, co-curricular, and placement opportunities within this unique location. And four, Wilkes has a unique culture called innovative, creative, entrepreneurial, whatever. This place has it and will continue to develop it in the years ahead. Again, Michael Porter says, quote, "Competing to be the best feeds on imitation. Competing to be unique thrives on innovation." In fact, in my opinion, the only real way to deal with the challenges of the future is to innovate, which is a word not often used to describe higher education institutions. But Wilkes University is innovative. Secondary school outreach initiatives, low residency programs, select online programs, remote locations as close as the Poconos and as far away as Mesa, Arizona, partnerships with Discovery Education, the Energy Institute, a surgical robotics lab, and I could go on and on and on. This innovation can position us as a model for American universities in the 21st century. Four characteristics: a unique dedication to student success, a unique program mix, a unique location, and a unique culture. Four characteristics which, in and of themselves, makes us a good institution. Four characteristics which, integrated fully together, could make us a great institution. Daniel Hudson Burnham, the preeminent American architect at the turn of the 20th century, said, quote, "Make no little plans, for they have no power to stir the soul." Here's my plan: to make Wilkes one of the top small universities, not just in this region, but in this nation. Talk about looking forward with confidence. Looking back with pride and looking forward with confidence. That is our theme for this weekend. I have said many times before that I would have relocated almost anywhere in the country for an opportunity to lead an institution like Wilkes University. To be able to do this in my adopted hometown of northeastern Pennsylvania, a place that Amy, the kids, and I have grown to love and appreciate, is a special privilege in my life, one for which I am very grateful. But why such a privilege? Well, I believe higher education is the world's most compelling work. That's right, the world's most compelling work. That's quite a statement, I realize. After all, the medical field saves people's lives. The legal field rights wrongs. The business field makes products and services that make countless lives easier, building wealth along the way. To say that higher education is the world's most compelling work says a lot. But if you think about it, we at colleges and universities have the incredible opportunity to educate nearly all of the professionals who populate those fields. As you may recall, Havel was imprisoned for many years as a dissident of the state for speaking out against Soviet occupation. In fact, Amy and I stayed in the actual room in which Václav Havel was imprisoned, since his detention center had been turned into a hotel by the time we visited the Czech Republic. Let me suggest that it makes for a better detention center than it does a hotel. Havel was once asked how he dealt with the challenges before him. He said this: "I just carry hope in my heart. Hope is not a feeling of certainty that everything ends well. Hope is a feeling that our lives and our work have meaning. May our time together serving the students of Wilkes University be full of hope. May our lives and our work together at Wilkes University have meaning." Looking back with pride, looking forward with confidence. That is our theme for this weekend and forevermore. Thank you very much.